Hello, everybody. Welcome back to episode 113 of the Podcana podcast. This week, we have our Fabled card reveal, which I'm very excited to show off to you guys. We have a few different topics that we'll be talking about this week, but most of it's going to be revolving around I was going to say some of the new cards that have been revealed. There are some new cards, but many cards that are, confirmed reprints now. But I do think we're still going to have some interesting discussions around these cards, and maybe myself and Moyen can share our thoughts on whether we think they will be any more playable than they have been in the past. The hope is yes, but I think it will be an interesting one. Moyen, have you been thinking a little bit more about rotation at all? Like, I know we made like the set 5 to 8 lists, right? But that's missing some key points of context, which is like these reprinted cards that are coming back, right?
Um, yeah, no, I'm a little bit reluctant to put too much time into it, as like now all of the context is like coming out every day. Um, but yeah, I'm looking forward to dive deeper into it as soon as we know like all the cards that are in set 9.
100%, yeah. Um, so some of the other stuff we're going to be discussing is they obviously revealed set 11 Winter Spell last week, and they mentioned during the live stream that there's going to be more of a focus on draft and limited play, so we'll get into that a little bit. There's a potential semi-OTK combo that people are talking about, but I don't really think it's that good, but it's definitely worth mentioning. And then there's some other stuff like card rarity downgrades, extra promos, stuff like that to get into. But let's just jump straight into it. And a 1, and a 2, and a 1, 2, 3. To Radigan!
To Radigan!
To Radigan!
Radigan!
The world's greatest
The
criminal
world's greatest
mind!
criminal mind!
This is staying in, by the way. Yes, our card reveal. Our card reveal is the world's greatest criminal mind. Moyen, are you happy to see this card returning?
Yes, definitely. But I mean, it kind of ties into exactly the worry I was having a few weeks ago. It's like, we still need shark answers, I think, especially at a lower power level. And now I think Specie also revealed that Pirate's Life is getting a reprint.
Yes.
And some people are like, okay, if Pirate's Life isn't getting a reprint, maybe Shark isn't the biggest problem. I think Shark is still a very, very big threat. And I'm happy that we have this like inkable, potential high impact, high tempo swing removal option that's still that still has a high cost of including it in your deck and deck building, because there's still a lot of boards where this doesn't hit anything. So yeah, I really, really like this.
But I think for that exact reason, it's incredibly important that this card is inkable. I think if this card is uninkable, it's nearly unplayable in my opinion, because for the exact reason of where it's bad on the situation, at least you have the option to ink it. So that's something that's really, really good about the card. And one thing I'm literally only noticing about the card right now, I swear, I can't believe I didn't notice this when I first looked at it. This is an example of the rarity downgrades thing that we're talking about, right? Like, the world's greatest criminal mind used to be a rare card from set 2, and now it's actually been downgraded to to an uncommon. So
yeah,
it's good, right? It means it's gonna be easier for people to get, and honestly, if it's gonna be a key removal card that's necessary to potentially deal with like a Maui Shark meta, I would hope people can easily access an answer to the card, right?
Yeah, no, it's good that this. I mean, I don't think this needed to be a rare card, and this adjustment kind of fixes that. Also, like another thing I love about this is making strength buffs, giving strength buffs like another avenue of, oh, I can also buff my opponent's cards in strength with some effects, which also could be support, and I love support having some extra applications. So I think in general, it's like a well-designed removal piece that also gives some room for creativity.
Sure, yeah, no, I agree. That's pretty much all we really have to say about our card reveal. Thank you to Ravensburger UK and Disney Lorcana for providing this card reveal to us. And yeah, really excited to mess around with this card within the upcoming Fabled meta. Right, let's jump into some more card reveals. Alright, so jumping straight into it, the first card that we have here is the Queen Concited Ruler. We talked about this card, like we showed it off on last week's episode, but we actually didn't really dive into the card's effect. So this is a 3-cost inkable 2/4 Amber card with support. And it says at the start of your turn, you may choose and discard a princess or queen character card to return a character card from your discard to your hand, and it quests for 1. What are your thoughts initially, Moyen?
Um, well, so I guess its effect happens only at the start of your turn,
Mm-hmm.
and it never generates immediate card advantage. You always discard 1 to get 1 card
Mm-hmm.
back.
Mm-hmm.
What it does do is it like kind of extends your options for your turn by the princesses and queens, or by a princess slash queen in your discard.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's decent, but it's nothing to write home about. Thankfully, the stat line isn't that bad as a 2/4 support. Still, like overall, I don't see like I guess it's hard for me to come up in a situation where I think this card would be like very good. Where I would really love to have this card.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about it?
Yeah, I was actually talking about this card to somebody in work today, and they raised a point which I found to be a little bit interesting, where they were like, uh, if I so desperately want a character card from my discard back to my hand, they were like, I just kind of make sure I run 4 copies of that card, and I'd just rather draw another copy of the card than maybe go through all of this type of stuff to try and get it. I think it's
Sure.
fair, but I mean, I think this card in the future could have like some interesting combos with some interesting synergy. Like, I mean, I'm talking like far in the future, right? Like, if we had
Mhm.
some like graveyard synergy, discard synergy, where it's like when this card enters your discard, do something sort of like what we have with Lilo, and then I don't know, like maybe you could like chain princess and queen characters somehow. I don't know. I'm getting kind of too deep
Yeah.
into it, but I do think that the stat line of the card seems okay. The support ability of it's nice, um,
Mhm.
but I think the actual effect is maybe a little bit too niche. But it is kind of like this value card that I could see in like maybe a uh very greedy control deck, sort of
Mhm.
potentially, right?
Yeah. I would hope that the like okay. So what can a greedy control deck do with this? They can like discard a low value card to bring back maybe a high impact
Mm-hmm.
princess or queen from their discard
Mm-hmm.
if it does take a turn. But I feel
Well,
like
you don't have to. By the way, you don't have to bring back a princess or queen from your discard. The condition is that's the card that you have to discard, but you can bring back
oh
any
okay
character card from your discard.
yes reading certificate
Reading
makes
the
me
card
this
explains the card. Yeah.
okay. So that gives you a lot more options, right? So I guess you need to have a princess or queen
Mm-hmm.
discard it, and then you have access to your all of the like one of all of the characters in your
Mm-hmm.
discard. Um, Still, basically, the point I was trying to make is that like a late game value heavy deck, I would hope that it's able to like actually generate card advantage at that
Sure.
stage instead
Sure.
of playing a character which costs you a card, then hoping it stays alive a turn just so I can discard a princess slash queen to bring back something better. Um, yeah, so like, it's not. It doesn't impress me, but like it's not a bad card whatsoever.
Mm-hmm. Yep. The next card we're going to take a look at is Alice Accidentally Adrift. So 4 cost inkable 2/3 quest for 2. When you play this character, you may put chosen item into its player's inkwell face down and exerted. And then whenever it quests, chosen opposing character gets -2 strength this turn. So my initial thoughts for this card is if Popsicle gets reprinted, which I'm gonna just guess it's not, but I honestly don't know. It's one of
What
the
do you mean, my popsicle?
yeah. I mean, I think it can go one of two ways. Honestly, if they bring it back, I can see reason for it coming back. If they don't bring it back, I can
Mm-hmm.
also see reason for that. But if Popsicle remains in the meta, or like at least relevant 1 cost items are in the meta,
Mm-hmm.
then you could play your 1 cost item. You could play Tipo, ramp into Alice, and then Alice. If you're an example of Popsicle makes sense, right? Because your Popsicle's already gained you the card, it's kind of done its
Mm-hmm.
job. Then you just put it into your inkwell, and you're kind of ramping. And I mean, the body you're left with isn't great, but it's not terrible either, right?
Yeah,
So,
and it's nice that there's like at least a little bit of a threatening on quest effect
hmm
at times. Um, but yeah, if also maybe it's not just popsicle. What if we get Fortisphere unbanned?
there's no way. There's no way we get Fortisphere unbanned.
Like maybe at some point in the distant future.
I mean,
Okay.
maybe, but I'm pretty sure they said like the card draw item steal stuff isn't really part of the color identity, but
Yeah.
that doesn't mean you're right. That doesn't mean they won't change it, right? So
Yeah, right. I think identities can change. I think I don't even love the reasoning that they gave for banning Fortisphere either. Okay, but regardless, the main point is if you have a cheap item that did something,
hmm
probably drew your card, or maybe like
I mean, that's the best thing it could do is probably draw you a card, right? Let's be
yeah,
real.
yeah. But that's what I thought. I also listened to the Club Lorcana podcast today.
hmm
It's like, and they talked about it. I was like, okay, what else could it do that's like kind of similar to drawing a card? It could make your opponent discard a card. So, but okay, the point is like we
My
need a cheap item
God.
that also like replaces itself. Um, so like doesn't go negative in card advantage.
Could you imagine?
Um,
That would be. I don't even want to dream. Oh, sure, one cost item that just makes my opponent discard a card when I
yeah,
play it.
with the 6 cost Tamator.
Disgusting. Oh
Okay,
my God.
so but that is what is necessary for this card to be good. Like
Sure.
if a card like that exists, I could totally see this card working. You could like go ramp on 2, ramp on 4, then have a 6 mana turn with with already this 4 drop on the board. So maybe the 4 drop helps you contest aggressive questing characters a little bit. Maybe also you can like play on your 6 ink turn. You can play like a rush character,
hmm
and then you can crest with the Alice, and your rush character takes less damage. If that could be a
Sure.
nice thing.
Sure.
But if we don't have something like a 1 cost item that replaces itself or
hmm
maybe makes them discard, then this is really really bad. Like you cannot afford to spend a card on the item that doesn't do much, because like outside of drawing a card, there isn't what can an item really do
hmm
in that short period, like time period before you use it, where you want to put it into Inkwell with Alice. So I think if we don't have something like that, this card's really really sad. If we do have something like that, it's not like this card's suddenly like incredible, but then this is a good card that we could build around.
I agree. Okay.
So I guess like it's kind of hard for me to tell. It's like when I look at a card like this, does it like do I think like this is an indicator we should be getting something like a 1 cost
I
item
don't
that
think it
replaces
is, but
itself? Or does it
maybe.
just mean, oh, this is a card that we'll never use in competitive?
It could honestly be one of the two, and like, I
I
don't.
hope it's the former.
I mean, I hope it's the former too, right? But it seems like it could definitely be the latter as well, right? For sure.
Yes, yeah,
So,
it could definitely be.
um, okay. So the next few cards, these are just like reprints of the same cards that we just saw, basically. Um, so one thing to notice is, this is like kind of hard to showcase, but this Bell Apprentice Inventor is like has like a magical places promo. I don't know how you can acquire this, but feel free to look into this if you guys are interested. But Aerial Sonic Warrior, this is a one of the cards that has been downgraded with from its rarity. So it was a super rare, it's now a rare. Um, and this card saw like a fair amount of play previously within
Yeah.
some Steel songs. So uh,
Yeah.
the difference is, right? The difference
Mm-hmm.
is, while this is a cool card and a good card, it all depends on the aerials that you have to shift this on now, right?
Uh, I don't know if it does, because
Okay.
I don't think you shifted it that often. Like you kind of a lot of the time in even within like that deck, you kind of just like played Ariel on 3,
Mm-hmm.
then like you kept curving out while singing removal songs, and then maybe you just had like Beast Ariel as like your mid-range hard to deal bodies
Sure.
that can run away with the game.
Mm-hmm.
So I think this card can work even if there's not a good shift. Especially if the meta slows down.
Although if there is a good shift, this card gets way better, right? This
Sure,
card comes out
yeah,
way
it does get
earlier.
better if there's a good shift.
Yep.
But yeah, I like this card. I think makes for some interesting decisions on like maybe you should hold some songs even if you don't know that the song itself is going to be good to get like this 2 cost deal 3 damage trigger.
Yep.
It is of course very very tough to deal with for like some steel decks usually. But yeah, I do like this card. It's also kind of funny that like just this set is the set where it saw the most play.
Yeah. Yeah. That is quite funny. The next card is Cruella de Vil. We have like another version of this shown off in a later slide, but this has most of the text for now that I can probably remember what the rest of it does. So it's a 3-cost uninkable 2/3. It's the legendary Sapphire card with the ability out of season. Once during your turn, whenever a character with cost 2 or less is banished, put the top card of your deck into your inkwell face down and exerted. And it says basically then during your turn, I'm pretty sure it's like an opposing character with cost 2 or less gets -1 strength. We can confirm that when we see the card without the card blocking it, but yeah, so I saw some people commenting on this, and they said that if we still had like Broom or Churnabogs, this card's pretty good, right?
Yeah.
That definitely makes sense. The fact that yeah, it is once during your turn, which I do think is also important. So you can't like multi giga ramp with this.
Yeah, you can't go like triple China box.
Yeah, just like ramp for
into this.
crazy, right?
Even if those cards did still exist.
But I think that's actually a good comparison, a good example to use, right? Like if you have cards that you can kind of basically on demand get value from them and then also sack them. But then not only that, I guess if you just have like a 1 or 2 drop that favorably trades into something, it could be okay. But then this is the whole thing. You run into the issue of, okay, then if Cruella de Vil ever becomes meta relevant, then your opponent just never exerts their characters because they don't want you to get value out of the Cruella de Vil, right? So
then you have this uninkable 2/3 that you have to play anyways, and then it's kind of sad. So what did you say? Does the bottom?
It's basically like during your turn, like opposing characters with cost 2 or less get -1 strength. I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
Yeah, we can double check. But
so some like a slightly positive static effect. I think in general though, the point you make is super valid. Where it's like kind of easy to play around, and like it's kind of like this card. Okay, a card's not bad just because people can play around it, but like the card barely does anything if it's played around.
Yeah, basically.
That's kind of the problem.
And this card, if it is played around, is literally doing nothing. It's a 3-cost uninkable 2/3. That's just kind of breaking you, honestly. Okay, the next card is Aerial Adventurous Collector. This is the enchanted version. It's the Ruby card, 3-cost inkable 2/3. Within Ruby, it's evasive, and whenever you play a song, chosen character of yours gains evasive until the start of your next turn. This card never really got its chance to shine because I felt like there wasn't enough maybe decks that paired with Ruby that were singing a lot of songs consistently, which is quite funny because like I think you could just think of this card in Friends on the other side and like maybe it's okay, but it's not like crazy powerful, right? And it's like, hey, well, often are you singing songs to get this card
also
off?
It's like you could also just I don't know, you could also sing Friends with something like a crab where it's like how many characters can really trade well into the 3/3 body, even when it's not evasive. But yeah, I like that this stays in the card pool because we also now saw that like Ruby got like the singer keyword with the power line. So like, I think it makes sense that Ariel gets to stick around to see like to be in the same card pool as some Ruby singers.
Yep, that makes sense. Next one is this legendary Dumbo 4-cost inkable 3/3 quest for 1. It has evasive. It has the ability Breaking Records. Exert this and pay 1 ink to draw a card and gain 1 lore. And then Making History. Your other characters with evasive gain. Exert, pay 1 ink, draw a card, and gain a lore. I think there's actually a lot to talk about for this card, and I'll be the pessimistic person, right? I'll say the initial thing, which is actually a fair point that you brought up previously when looking at 4-cost evasive cards. Now this does a lot better job than the previous one we talked about, which someone was saying like, oh, what was our opinion on the legendary Amethyst Pinocchio from the previous set, right? That was like the 0/4 that was drawing cards and it's evasive or whatever. And we were like, okay, if you're on the play, you just play Genie, they'll play the Pinocchio, or in this case, they'll play the Dumbo, and then you play Elsa, and then you send your Genie and your Elsa into it. So honestly, I still think it's not great if that happens. If you play Dumbo and then that happens, like you haven't done nothing. You've dealt a total of 6 damage to your opponent's cards, but you've kind of done nothing. But I do think that this card in like the evasive wars metagame, if that's like something that happens, can be quite interesting. And this card is like extremely versatile in the ways that you can use it. I feel like it's like because it gives all of your other evasive characters this ability, maybe you don't want to exert it a lot because you want to like protect it potentially yourself. So maybe you're primarily going to be using your other evasive characters to use this effect rather than itself a lot of the time. But yeah, like lots to think about. What do you think about this card in general when you look at it? Like, do you think it'll be meta relevant? Because my initial impression is like it probably, but it's super difficult. Like I think the deck that it sees the most playing is maybe Blurple because you have access to so much more ink then.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm really curious to hear your thoughts on this card.
Um, yeah, this card's super interesting. Like, as soon as you see, okay, this is a card that lets me generate card advantage,
Mm-hmm.
you're already like, okay, I really have to take a deep look into this card because there's not that many cards that can do that this
Mm-hmm.
consistently, especially because this is you could see a world where you could like generate this card advantage
Mm-hmm.
repetitively with evasive characters because evasive characters tend to be decent at sticking around. Um, I guess the so every time you use this effect on either Dumbo itself or one of your other evasive characters, you are sacrificing some tempo to generate some card advantage to generate some value.
Mm-hmm. But you are also
Some
getting a
value.
lore, which is actually very important. It's a big difference between just drawing a card and gaining the lore because it's
Mm-hmm.
if the card quests for one, you can technically consider the card questing and drawing a card, right?
Sure. I guess that the tempo loss is not the on a one quester isn't
Mm-hmm.
the
Mm-hmm.
lore that you lose, but it's the ink that you spend on doing that.
Correct. Yep.
Also, of course, okay, at least we don't lose entirely on the lore, but still we have to spend some ink, which means we'll have less ink left to do things that actually affect the board. But if we, this is kind of like a card where if your deck is trying to build around Dumbo and you're given the time, you will like inevitably outvalue your opponent and then set up um, like you will draw enough cards so that you have access to the tools that you need to win the board. And then if your opponent doesn't, if you know your opponent can't really respond to it super well, you don't even have to draw the cards as soon as you play the Dumbo. You could kind of like play for the tempo and then kind of have this backup of, okay, I can just draw some cards with Dumbo at some point. If maybe you play like some early game that's a lot of evasives, that deals with the board decently well with like Iagos and Genies and Elsas. And then after you've done all of this, at some point you go Dumbo, exert, draw some cards, and at that point it will be very tough to recover from for your opponent. I don't think this is necessarily like the card you go like evasive on 1, evasive on 2, evasive on 3, Dumbo on 4,
Mm-hmm.
and then oh now I just spend 1 ink for each of my evasives every turn and then draw like a million cards. It's not really. I'm not sure it's quite that. But as a card that can either be used as just like a 4/3/3 evasive to contest the board, or also that can hit the board on 7 ink ish, 8 ink, just to generate some card advantage while still if, like it has very little impact on the board, but it doesn't have none. It's still like it forces your opponent to react to it because if they don't, you can generate more card advantage the turn after. Um, it's like you could compare it to Finders Keepers in that you spend a lot of ink and you get very little on the board, but like at least you get something on the board.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that threat of oh I will do it again next turn if you let me, and if you don't pressure me enough and don't remove this, I will just draw more cards and close out the game that way. The card is very powerful, but I completely understand your hesitation when evaluating it because if those evasive cards that like are already good and are also staying in the meta, if they are just like kind of taking control over these evasive characters in a way where you can rarely afford to just play like a 3/3 evasive for 4. Um, like I can see that this will also be slow in a lot of situations. So this is like a super interesting card, I think, and I think at least it will be something that people will try, that people will build, but also people will like build their decks to be decent against. Um, I think it will probably stick in some decks, not stick in others, but it's a wonderful card to have in the game.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I think I also agree with a lot of your points that this is like maybe one of these cards that I feel like might get more value more in the late game rather than just playing this
Hmm.
on turn 4. And the thing I do like about the card is that it does have some immediate impact, because this would be so much worse if like you couldn't do any of these effects until like, you know, the character's dry, or you have to actually wait a turn.
Yeah.
The fact that if you already have some evasive characters on the board and you play this and you have like, I don't know, like 7 ink, 8 ink, for 2 ink maybe you can exert 2 of your evasive characters, get the cards there. I feel like, okay, this card's done its job. It's done something. And then, like you said, if they don't remove it, then it gets even more value the next turn. So, um, I do like the fact that it technically can do something immediately, granted later in the game, but I think that might be the optimal time when you play the card. And I think overall, the fact that this card is just inkable as well is like, I think this is very, very well balanced. Like, I really like the amount of like design and thought that went into this card. It feels like they really took their time when trying to decide all the little nuances of designing this. So yeah, I'm excited for people to mess around with it and see how it can be used the most optimally. But even if it's not played that much, like I think it's also fine. Like it's the type of card that people will mess around with. Maybe there's this place for it, and even if it is like good enough to be played, people will start to try and find ways to play around it. Like someone else in work I was talking to, they said, yeah, if cards like Dumbo and like I don't know, like evasive decks become like very relevant. I don't know if this card will be played, but they were mentioning like Tug of War within Steel, which is
Hmm.
like I think it's a 5 cost ink. It's either 4 cost or 5 cost. I think it's 5 cost. 5
5.
cost inkable. Deal 3 to all of your opponents' evasive characters.
Yeah. So
Um,
it gives, I think it gives you the option, like
yeah,
either
it's like
deal
deal 1 to
1.
everything or deal 3 to all of your opponents' evasives. Yeah, it is inkable
Yeah.
though, which is something.
Um. Yeah. I think Tug of War is awful. I think it's also like, if you say, okay, if my opponent plays one evasive too much, I can just play Tug of War in my deck and counter them. You know how easy it is to counter Tug of War. All I have to do is like the deck won't be like all of my characters are evasive. If I think if I'm expecting my opponent to have like a Tug of War, if I ever get somewhat ahead on the board, I just like play a non-evasive character, and then okay, please pay 5 to deal with all of my evasives, and then pass back to me, and I
Mhm.
still have a character on the board.
Mhm.
Um, I do not believe in Tug of War, especially like when kind of Genie is also around. So it's like
So
Genie
this.
costs less than Tug of War, replaces itself,
Mhm.
and survives the Tug of War.
So I mentioned Genie in the conversation, and like even kind of moving away from the tug of war conversation, right? But
Hmm.
I did find it interesting, and it's something we've talked about a lot. This will be a tiny tangent, but it's definitely relevant to what we're discussing. We've been talking a lot about Riftbound recently because we've been playing it a lot, and certain cards that we've been evaluating and seeing if it's good, if it's bad. I've been basing a lot of them on what I like to call breakpoints. So,
Hmm.
for example, in Lorcana, a card like Ice Block can really change breakpoints for cards that care about strength based removal,
Hmm.
or and we've seen that before. And in Riftbound it's a little bit easier because it kind of acts as like strength and willpower removal, right? They're kind of combined within
Sure. Yeah.
Riftbound. And it got me thinking, like a mechanic that I would be curious to see maybe explored within Lorcana is, it's not the opposite of the strength based removal where you're buffing strength, but it's like spell damage from Hearthstone, where
Yes.
cards that you set stuff up to then play other cards that suddenly are a lot better because this card now surpasses the breakpoint. It's the card was designed in a way so that it doesn't counter cards to be like, dealing this amount of damage or whatever. But
Hmm.
suddenly, if you allow it to start dealing this amount of damage, at least semi consistently, if you can kind of build a working deck around that, that's very, very interesting to me. And I always liked that about
Hmm.
Hearthstone, where like I even felt like it was never that relevant in Hearthstone, but there was times where like, I'd play like a Blood Mage Thalnos and then I'd play a Fan of Knives, and suddenly it deals 2 instead
Yeah.
of 1, where it's actually relevant, right? Like I
Or
always
so,
liked that mechanic.
or sometimes you have like plus 10 spell damage and you play 3 spells, and you win the
And you win
game.
the game, right? Yeah, Malagos plus Moonfire, and you just win the game, right? Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, what do you think about? I mean, just like that concept of
So basically,
breakpoints within TCGs, right?
yes. So yeah, I guess those breakpoints exist in something like Riftbound. They're like very easy to identify because there's one set of cards
Hmm.
announced yet. So like, and a lot of cards deal like the same amount of damage.
Mm-hmm.
But for Lorcana now we have like a million cards, but still the breakpoints we can identify because not all of those cards are relevant in competitive play. In competitive play, there will still always be breakpoints of, oh, at this point in time, most meta decks play 3-cost 3/4s.
Mm-hmm.
That's just like a random example.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, okay, maybe I shouldn't play Smash in my deck. But because it doesn't deal with this breakpoint. So that is definitely something that's very important in card games. It's also like in something like Lorcana, the damage is permanent, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that makes evaluating and knowing these breakpoints even more important because a lot of the time you encounter this situation. So okay, I guess this is a little bit of a tangent, but like your opponent has two characters.
Mm-hmm.
One of them has like 1 strength, the other one has 2.
Mm-hmm.
You have 2 characters, and you can challenge either way while getting rid of both of them.
Mm-hmm.
And these decisions can be very rewarding to get them right because like a lot of the time um, there is like a significant advantage in leaving your cards on specific breakpoints depending on what deck you're playing against.
Mm-hmm.
Um, let's say you have a very good example that really applies recently is like, let's say you have a Diablo against like a Steel Song deck.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, you're like very free to take 1 damage on that Diablo because like stuff that deals 1 damage to it would also deal more than 1 damage to it.
Mm-hmm.
So it would die to or would get banished by 2 damage removal anyways. And that's a very easy example, but there's other times where it's like, oh, you can either leave one of your characters on 4 HP and one of them on 6, or both of them on 5.
Mm-hmm.
And like depending on game state and deck you're playing against, I do really enjoy making these kind of decisions.
I agree. Yeah. Yeah. This is also just get me thinking of like some of the broken things you can do for digital card games compared to physical ones. Not that you couldn't do this in physical, but like like Hearthstone as an example is like so power crept these days that it wouldn't surprise me if there's like a card or a hero card that's like, yeah, if it starts in your deck, like permanently have spell damage +1. It's like, what the hell? All of these cards suddenly become better, right? Like. Okay. Moving on to the next Lorcana card, we have Moana. Being reprinted from set 1, 5 cost inkable, 1/6 quest for 3. Whenever this character quests, you may ready your other princess characters. They can't quest for the rest of the turn. So this is actually still the old version of the card, and the newer version that's reprinted has an errata. Because if you read this, it says whenever this character quests, you may ready your other princess characters, but they can't quest for the rest of this turn. The difference with the errata version, I'm pretty sure it says whenever this character quests, you may ready your other exerted princess characters. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
I guess if it was to target all of your princesses, then like I guess if you quest with Moana first, suddenly none of your princesses can quest anymore.
Right? It's not very good, right?
Sure.
I don't know about this card. It's just like it was. I feel like it's actually a very cool card, and basically, I'm pretty sure this was in like the starter deck, right? Like it's very flavorful. It works in kind of a cool princess deck. If princess decks become like relevant, I don't know, like maybe as long as this card can stick and survive, that's the biggest thing, right?
Yeah. So like you need to play it and then have some princesses quest with your entire board. Your princess get to quest again the turn after. That's what this card does. It does it very slowly. It doesn't do it very efficiently. It was like niche, like almost playable. Very maybe set 1.
Yeah.
But like
maybe set 1.
Even if the power level is dropping, it's not dropping to that back ever dropping back to that point again.
Next one's Queen of Hearts, 3 cost inkable, 3/3 quest for 1. Whenever this character quests, your other villain characters get +1 this turn. Not much to say about this card. It's just like I'm assuming if they're reprinting this, they're hoping just to do more villain support in the future. So can't really say much more. Mulan Elite Archer. So this is an example of a legendary card that's been changed down to a super rare. Moyen, you're very happy about this one.
No, that is one of my favorite cards. I was once playing Ruby Steel against Amber Steel. It was not my deck.
What were you doing? Were you playing against Fabi?
No, but Fabi gave me a stack and was like, okay, Amber Steel's worst matchup, let's play that.
Okay, sure.
And I was trying so hard just to like have the slightest chance of maybe staying in the game. And so many things needed to go right for me to even like get to that point. And then I get to
Sure.
that one point, draw the top card of my deck, and it's like a shift Mulan that takes out the entire board. And that did win me the game. And I was like over the moon when that happened. So it's one of my favorite Lorcana memories. And then the best thing was I I tell Fabi what just happened. He's like, yeah, that's a one-off in that deck.
What?
That
Oh
was
my
the
god.
best moment.
You can't
So
make
yeah,
it up.
I'm personally biased and happy to see this card come back.
I think it's a very cool card, a very unique effect as well. It's like what we call it in Hearthstone, like the cleave effect, right? Where like you hit something
Mm-hmm.
and then it hits the damage is dealt to two things beside it. Um,
Yeah, I
yeah.
guess
Although this
like
doesn't
there's no
matter, right?
position.
Yeah. I'm in
Yeah,
my head. I'm like, oh, it really. I was about to say, oh my god, does this card actually matter where we play cards? I'm like, no, it doesn't. You can just choose whatever you
yeah,
want. Um,
not in here.
and I do believe
Which
actually,
which I like. It's so tedious to worry about. Oh, I have to like correctly
positioning.
position against certain removals.
Sure. I don't know if they've actually been confirmed within this website and this list that we're reading from, but I'm pretty sure that the one drop Ruby Mulan is being reprinted. I did see that on social media somewhere, and also
Mm-hmm.
like a Li Shang, a Steel Li Shang, or something like that. So there will be relevant shift targets for this, including the one drop Ruby one, um the one cost Steel one, stuff like that. So
Yeah.
pretty
You know,
interesting.
oh, yeah. For this Mulan, like shifting, it's cool, but shifting, it's kind of like doesn't work that often
Hmm.
because it's kind of like obvious, just from this card being in the card pool that
Yeah.
if you're playing like an underpowered early Mulan, that this is kind of what you're like trying to set up.
Hmm.
But that day when I won with the Mulan,
Hmm.
it inspired me to like build a Ruby Sapphire, completely build around Mulan,
Okay.
and like it was worse than normal Ruby Sapphire. But like I think the best way to use this Mulan was just in Ruby Sapphire, you ramp, and then you have like there was the Vitalispheres with Tamatoas and Popsicles and everything,
Hmm.
and then the Vitalispheres were also supporting this Mulan just as like a rush
Okay.
challenge for 4. Um, what set was Vitalisphere again?
Set 4 as well, I believe. I believe they're both the same set, I think.
Okay,
Maybe set
so
5.
I guess we don't know whether it's coming back, but
Yeah.
that would be a great synergy piece for the Mulan as well.
Cool. The next card. Improvise. You must be happy about this, Moyen. As the anti-vanish card, right?
Sure. Yeah, like it's an anti-Iago card, and it sometimes changes breakpoints.
Sure. Is there any reason why people started to play the right, I guess the reason why people started to play Hypnotic Strength over this was if they were just playing purple and not plus green, right?
Yeah, but
Anything yeah.
there was actually some decks that topped also events like 2-3 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
That were playing Hypnotic Strength in Emerald Amethyst instead of Improvise,
Hmm.
and the main reason to me always seemed to be that okay, you can strength buff a 3 something that can
To
challenge
get
for
rid of a
3.
rhino, right?
Yes,
Yes.
that was like the kind of like it can hit the Iago but also hit that on the side.
Yeah, makes sense. The next one is the Tinkerbell. 4 cost inkable 2/3 quest for 2. Evasive. When you play this character, chosen character gains evasive this turn. A card that we incorrectly evaluated last week when comparing to Dumbo. Do you want to explain why we
Yeah, okay.
incorrectly evaluated it, Moyen?
Okay, so last week when Kawa was talking about the
Oh, so it was
Tinkerbell.
me. Okay. It probably was me,
No,
to be fair. It probably was me.
it was probably both of us. Okay, so we had I think there was the new Dumbo that we are kind of comparing to this, as both of them are evasive and give evasive, but
Hmm.
this Tinkerbell doesn't only does it on your turn, whereas the Dumbo does it um, until the start of your next turn,
Hmm.
which can help you like protect some of your characters, which is something we highlighted. But this Tinkerbell cannot do that. This is just kind of like a combat trick to help
Hmm.
you take out an evasives, but it's still very good at that. It saw some play, like to deal with evasives in Emerald Amethyst, like set 5 or something.
Hmm.
Um, and yeah, I think I'm happy to see this back. This is like kind of a decent card at least, but might not quite make it anymore.
Sure. Yep. Next one is the 2 cost uninkable Steel Robin Hood. I
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to remember, but this card definitely saw play within set 2 when this card came out. It was saw play in some like niche Emerald Steel decks, basically. That would basically the only example I ever remember of playing against this card is when I
Mm-hmm.
played the Aggro Ruby Amethyst deck, and I'm like, if I face Emerald Steel and they play this, and I'm playing like my Pinocchios and my
Yeah, you
Maleficents,
you lose.
I lose the game. Yeah, pretty
Yeah.
much. So.
Yeah, it was kind of like so it was used for in two ways. One of them was just like an anti-Merfolk card, an
Mhm.
anti-1/1 Quest for 2 card, or
Mhm.
1/1 Quest for 3 card, and also just like as a tool to up the consistency of your shift Robin Hood on 3 line. There was metas where like shifting Robin Hood on 3 was like so incredible and so like tough to deal with that
Mhm.
people were fine not just playing 4 times the 1 cost Robin Hood,
Mhm.
but also some of this Robin Hood to like up the consistency of that.
Mhm.
So yeah, I always like this card. I
Mhm.
think it's a cool card. It's no it does require some specific metas to like want me to include it.
Mhm.
Um, but it's a nice tool to have if there's ever like one willpower stuff, or like it doesn't even just have to be one willpower. It could also be that you have like it could also change a breakpoint to take out something just by like having that one ping damage.
Sure. Do you like this card better than Dump Truck? Have you seen this thing of like, I don't know, I feel like I've seen Dump Truck everywhere within people's Purple Steel builds, where they must be like playing Dump Truck, bounce Dump Truck, replay Dump Truck, you know?
Yeah, I mean the dump truck's kind of cool. It's like, but I don't know. Both of them do similar things. The dump truck does it a lot quicker, whereas the Robin Hood has like the repetitive
Mm-hmm.
threat, or like maybe in previous metas had the shift threat. But
Dump Truck also
yeah,
gets a lot
the dump truck's
worse.
cool too.
It gets
Mhm.
worse if the bounce stuff doesn't come back, right? Let's be real. I feel like it gets
Yes,
worse.
but also like okay, let's be real with the Robin Hood. It has like on exert and it's repetitive, but like
Mm-hmm.
it's not super easy to keep this around. If you exert this, usually it gets traded into.
Sure.
Maybe less so now that Fox is gone, but it could still happen.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Next one's Coconut Basket. I don't know if we even want to talk about this. Did you ever play this card, Moyen? I think this saw play in some Ruby Sapphire Grand Pabby deck, probably, right? Maybe
Yeah,
at
it
some
did.
stage. Yeah.
But that deck was so bad, and this card is even worse. So
Okay.
it's
Maid
really
Marian.
bad.
Fun fact for our Podcana audience. This is Brendan's favorite character. Did you know that, Moyen?
I I did not know that.
Mm-hmm.
How did you know that?
I remember he mentioned it at one stage.
Oh,
Yeah.
maybe I was not listening.
So Brendan must be a big Robin Hood fan. Yeah, this card's like also fine. I don't know. Like this to me speaks. If I have this card in my deck, it better be a limited deck because it's the only deck I feel like it could see some play in, right? Like yeah, this is like an okay sealed card, honestly.
Um, yeah, it is. It quests for 2,
Mhm.
has okay stats, has a on
Okay
play.
effect. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, Pirate's Life. What do we think? Are you happy to see it back? Do you think it's necessary to be within the game? I saw a lot of mixed opinions on this card returning. But yeah.
I think this card is mostly bad. Right?
Mostly bad. Do you think it only saw play because of the shark interaction?
Yes, I mean, did it ever see? I mean, okay, some
I don't
people
think
tried
so.
it in other decks, but like, I don't think it was ever good in any other deck.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's a card that doesn't affect the board.
Mm-hmm.
It's a card that helps you stall, which only helps if you already kind of like stabilize
Mm-hmm.
the board in a way where they don't have like repetitive questers, and that's okay. I think people often like I think people tend to not ink this when they should ink it.
Mm.
Like if you play against aggro with any slower deck, you can't afford to keep this around. I think for like sometimes you can, but like a lot of the time you should just keep the cards in your hand that actually help you stabilize in the first place, and then it's nice to be able to draw into this. But I don't think there's anything wrong with this. I guess like sometimes people get frustrated when they're like, oh, I'm close to win, and then oh, Pirate's Life, no, now the
Yeah,
game
it's
goes on
like
a
it's
little
like
bit
go
longer.
top decks, right? It's like I mean, it's happened to me where like I've stabilized the board, I've really fought so hard for a game. Oop, top deck Pirates Life GG, and it's like yeah, but that happens. It's just
Yeah,
it happens,
and
right?
that's fine that happens.
Exactly.
It's like something to play towards, and like maybe in a game where like you will lose the board, but you can like try to get enough lore so that maybe with like a top deck pirates, I forget that.
Mm-hmm. Okay, next card is Heal has been hurt, 3 cost inkable amber, remove up to 3 damage from chosen character, but it draws a card, Moyen. It
Yeah,
draws a
love
card.
that.
um, isn't this like isn't this like the exact same effect as like the restoring the heart, the amber sapphire card?
Yes, but this is like a 3-cost song.
So
The
you
other
could
one's a
say
1-cost.
sometimes this is technically free, but I have to exert a character to do it.
Yeah, and you can play this in Amber Amethyst. You can play this in Amber Ruby.
Sure.
Like, Restore Your Heart is dual link, right?
Yeah,
So
it's Duel Link. Yeah.
I think this card's okay.
Okay.
Like it's an okay tool to have in the pool.
Sure. We got Aurora, 5 cost inkable, 3/5, cost for 2. Your other characters gain ward. I mean, this is like one of those cards I remember. Like this does really take me back. 'Cause this card like hasn't seen that much play, but I just remember like back in the day, it's like yeah, you get 2 of these on the board. It's
Yeah, then everything has
unstoppable.
ward.
right?
And then you play 4 Cogsworth, and then everything has resist +3.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, and what's your opponent doing in that time?
Yeah. I don't know. I think this is actually still kind of a cool card to have around. Like I think it's a weird one for how they tune it because like there's a chance that if it has like I don't know good enough shift targets and it's consistently played and not removed well enough, then yeah maybe this is a very annoying card to play against because it just like protects your entire board. But
I
that
think
rarely
the
happens, right?
Yeah, the problem with this card is kind of like the ward. Okay, so what do your characters do that have ward, right? If
They
you play this
quest.
early, you still wanna they want to quest
Right,
with it.
yeah.
If they quest it, they can still challenge them. So this card's best if maybe there's something in the meta that you play like on 4 ink or on 6 ink
Mm-hmm.
that has a very powerful ability or like maybe a static ability.
Mm-hmm.
Something like a Prince John, but like without ward.
Sure. Right.
You know, and then
So you want them to print Prince John without ward, basically, and then just put this card
I'm not
with
saying
it.
I want a Prince John without. I'm just saying we need like kind of like a good static effect that doesn't have ward on its own because that shouldn't be a thing.
Yeah.
And then you set that up with the Aurora, and then okay, now the ward getting ward on something else actually matters. If I just want to quest, my characters don't need ward that much.
Yeah. I have an
At least not if
interesting.
I'm like paying this much for this character.
Yeah. Just mentioning like Prince John and static effects and like something we've talked about a lot, and I do agree. You know, these type of static effects should not be on these extremely powerful cards, and which also have ward. But I'm curious to hear your opinion on if this was the design for Prince John. A little bit of a tangent again. Here we go. So,
Yeah.
if Prince John only had his effect active when he was exerted,
Okay.
I think that card would still be frustrating at times because if you think about it, you could still play Prince John into turn 4, exert Prince John, you've forgotten me, right? So like that is
Sure.
and that is annoying, but
Mhm.
you couldn't do after you've played a 2 cost, play Prince John, sing discard song.
Yeah, which
know?
that's an important line in every Prince John Emerald deck.
But
I think-
I still think. Sorry, I'm asking you and I'm interrupting you. Apologies. I'll just say like, I think it could be interesting, but then you could also still just play Prince John, play another Prince John, then exert both of them, and then do you forgot me, and then that's still really annoying, right? So
Yeah, but I mean, I think if the effect was just only if it exerted, right now it would be like very unplayable.
you think it would be very unplayable if that was the effect?
Yeah, it's kind of like okay, you need to jump through a lot of hoops to have like your 3 drops draw any cards. It's like it's not even that much better than like a 3-cost Maleficent. Like okay, on play draw a card. It's like if you exert it, like if you pay a 3-cost 1/2, then you exert it and play some discard. Okay, the 1/2 is definitely getting removed, and then you lost a lot of tempo and you don't have a draw engine. So like it would be underpowered with these stat lines, but like it could have been something like while this is exerted, Prince John effect. But then it would have needed to like have at least a little bit better stats. So it's like not that easy and free to like.
Sure, like even a 2/3 or something. I don't know. Yeah, it's like a bit better. It is very very interesting. But I think you raised a great point of like, especially in the deck that I play for Amber Emerald, it's like the additional power is like this just like sticks around in that deck as another added singer for then like the whole combo of like Under the Sea and stuff. It's like I don't know, warded characters Yeah, like I think actually warded characters with static abilities that are already strong then also combo very well with powerful sing together cards because they're just sitting there for the right opportunity. That if you
Hmm.
can somehow like remove your opponent's board, then that's a fine time to exert it because they can't respond to it. Right? That's the whole thing of that deck. Right? That's so frustrating to play against. Is like you feel like you have no way to stop it basically. So okay, take a look at the next card. Prince Philip, 9 cost inkable 6/6, quest for 3. It has shift 6, evasive, and when you play this character, banish all opposing damage characters. If this card is coming back, I want Chief Bogo
Yeah,
to come back,
I
right?
actually just like, I typed Bogo because I didn't remember what set it was. I was set 2.
Yep,
Give me Chief Bogo.
yep,
That's the, it's always been the dream of the Bogo Philip.
yeah. I've never done it, but if he comes back, I will
Me
try to
neither.
do it. I will try to do it, yeah.
It's like, it's the type of thing that I get excited about, and then like, if I try to build a deck that would do that sort of thing, I would like stop in the middle of it because I'm like, no, this is not good enough. This doesn't work.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. The next one is the Bell, the 5 cost Bell, 4/4, quest for 2. This is so good. I just like this card. I like to see this being reprinted.
Yeah, yeah. I think it
It's,
also
it's,
makes for
it's your
interesting
favorite word,
decisions on
Moyen.
like, huh?
What would you call this card? It's like your favorite word.
An accomplished mystic.
It's a combat trick, no?
Oh, okay. No, but I like this card because like this does the same thing of like making it like this card existing makes it interesting of how you should do your trades and like how much damage you leave up on X character, because I mean it's one, how much damage do you want to leave up on your opposing character, or if you exert a character, can they maybe like bump into it and then play a bell? But also, even if you have a damage character, they could just use that to like get rid of your other character by
Mm-hmm.
moving those damage counters.
Yep.
I love Bell, but it's cool.
Mm-hmm. Strength we already mentioned. Sisu we already mentioned. Merfolk we already mentioned. Elsa we already kind of talked about already. One that I didn't realize was I thought this was like a set 5 card, but it turns out no. This like because I'm pretty sure I name dropped this Ruby Simba 1/1 that quests
Mhm.
for 3 before saying like, oh yeah, this is a set 5 card because like Bivens played it and it's like it would be just.
Uh,
I just assumed it would be in the meta, but it's funny that it's actually a reprint. That's coming back in as well. Yeah, interesting to like think about where a lot of these 2 cost 1/1 quest for 3 characters will like
yeah,
sit
when
in
we
the
got
meta.
them.
Yeah, it's very
Yeah,
very interesting.
and I guess, I mean they're interesting for the Dumbo, so that's
Yeah.
pretty cool.
Mhm. Cusco coming back. Man, I don't know. Like this. This takes me back, right? This takes me back.
Yeah,
This Cusco. Did you play much Emerald within set 1? It wasn't like the best ink within set
no,
1, but
I mean I played a good amount against it, and this was one of the like most annoying cards to face because
mhm.
like if this came down, more often than not, it's questing for 3, and also like taking the character with you.
Mhm. Yeah. I know. I like Cusco. I'm glad to see him back. Um, Benja is just some more item removal. Kind of like to see this. Like Benja had its time. It kind of I won't say Benja fell off at all. Like, but Benja has his place when certain items are very polarizing. I would say. Like you
Yes.
remember Benja back in like the spellbook days. Benja was terrific, right? Where you'd
Sure.
basically be
Yeah.
able to get rid of your opponent's spellbook and stuff like that.
I think one of its best targets has also always been Fishbone Quill,
Mm-hmm.
because then they took a turn off to set this thing up, and now you're stopping their game plan of like the maybe the Tinkerbell that they were trying to ramp to.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but like then we kind of at some point we like reached this point where like all items in play were like popsicles and or fortispheres.
Mm-hmm.
It's like it doesn't really matter if you get rid of them.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yes, you took one of my items away, but like I have Tamatoas, etc. The item already replaced itself. It only costed me 1. You only played one character that quests for 2 and 3.
Mm-hmm.
So like, I think that's kind of where the card got weaker, but I think it's still a decently high tempo card considering that it also enables you to remove an item.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, do you think there's a reason why this card maybe didn't see so much play when people were picking up the Ruby Sapphire item deck again with like the workshops and stuff? My intuition is that because there were so many different versions of like, well, at least the 2 different versions of Ruby
Mm-hmm.
Sapphire and like the meta overall it couldn't really justify having a bench in it if that's the only thing you're worried about. Like I feel like that
Yeah.
that Ruby Sapphire deck would have to be performing miles above everything else before you'd even really consider
Yes.
putting a card like Benji within your deck.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. It's like that deck was a good deck, the
Mhm.
Ruby Sapphire item deck, but it was one of many good decks. Even in Ruby Sapphire, there was like a Shark version that wasn't playing Workshop, and then also like some decks maybe um, didn't need to play this to beat them, or maybe some decks like would sacrifice so much in the other matchups that they couldn't afford to play it. But yeah, I like that it's back.
All right, the next card is Cruella de Vil, 2 cost equal 3/2. Quest for 1 during your turn. This character gains evasive. An example of another card that definitely saw play at a stage. This was like the Minnie Mouse Surfer Killer, right, Moyen? Back in the day.
Uh, oh yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, besides that, it didn't do anything else. Like, let's be real,
yeah,
right?
it,
Yeah.
it was just okay. I guess it also you could only play it in like Fishbone Krill decks that go like okay, contest the bottom two, then maybe do that.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't even that great in that deck, but yeah, it did contest mini.
White Rabbit's Pocket Watch is the next one. 3 cost Inkable. Do you remember playing this back in your Ruby Amethyst deck at one stage during set 1?
Oh yeah, well, I definitely remember this card.
Mm-hmm.
It was like an item that allowed your Aladdin
Yes.
to drain some lore
Mm-hmm.
the turn you play it, like the old 7 cost Inkable at Aladdin. Um, I don't think it ever saw play after that, did it?
No, I don't believe so.
I don't think it will ever see play again.
Like,
Probably not.
I can see how it's costed. I can see why it cost 3, why you have to pay the 1 ink, but I just feel like even Vitalosphere is so much better than this card. Even though you're only getting the Vitalosphere use once, it's
Yeah.
even better because you're getting extra strength and you're giving it rush and it costs cheaper, costs less.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of a lot of cards in Lorcana they pay like in terms of like design cost, I feel like they pay a lot for being able to be used multiple times.
Sure.
But then like if it's so expensive to use it the first time, it's like I don't really get to the point where I can like use it multiple times.
Next one is Alice Growing Girl. So this is one of the set 2 legendaries that went down from legendary to a super rare. 3 cost inkable, 1/4. Your other characters gain support, and while this character has 10 strength or more, she gets +4 lore. Did you ever mess around with this card, Moyen?
I mean I'm pretty sure I did, but
Okay.
like not extensively. It's like yes, I played some decks where this would quest for 5, but like they weren't very good.
Sure, yeah. I mean, I think it's definitely appropriate to put this down to like a super rare status because I don't know, like having this as a legendary,
Oh, it was a legendary.
it was a legendary, yeah, yeah. The next one is Queen of Hearts, Sensing Weakness, 5 cost equal 4/3 quest for 1. With shift 2, whenever one of your characters challenges another character, you may draw a card. I actually played this in a Ruby Steel deck within set 2. I like when set 2 came out, I was like messing around with like Shere Khan and basically like challenging stuff. But it's
And then
like,
your opponent stopped exerting.
and then my opponent stopped
It's
exerting. I was like, yeah,
oh
this
no,
deck's
that's
not good.
fair.
Yeah. But you know what I noticed? I looked through the entire card pool, Moyen, and this has shift 2. There has never been a 1 cost Queen of Hearts. There's only ever been 2 cost.
Yeah, the 2 cost 2/2 Wash, which saw some play.
Yep. Yeah. There's like the 2. I mean, there's like the 2 cost uninkable one with an emerald that like puts a damage on something. I think puts a damage on something that's already damaged actually.
Yeah.
But this reminds me of like, previously not having access to certain shift lines, for example. And this is kind of sad that this has gone to the wayside. We had our sad beast from set 2 with shift 3 that never got a 2 cost beast to shift onto it. Oh yeah, but come on, are you gonna literally just design this around the morph?
It's like it saw competitive play as like one of the main opening lines.
So can you imagine if there was actually a beast? It would have definitely that would have been so sick to have the shift more consistently.
Sure, maybe.
Yeah.
But the morph was like Diablo and Beast.
Sure,
Wow.
sure.
Okay. So evaluating this card, do you think what did you think if this had a 1 cost that you could shift upon?
I mean, I still don't think this card would be very good, even if you're the one. Like, I don't know. Like, the biggest benefit is that, like, sure, you pay 2, you get, like, You're paying two to get like a slightly overstated body, and I mean like an overstated body for like one extra ink cost. Usually, just a 4/3 would be like a 3 cost stat line, right?
Yeah, but you
Um,
paid 3 for it, right? If you shift on a 1 cost, that's kind of like paying 3 over for 10.
sure, exactly. So, and then you're not
But
really
the
gonna get.
effect is pretty good.
Yeah,
You
but
know,
your
you
opponent, your
know,
opponent doesn't exert. Your opponent doesn't exert, right?
I know, but that's kind of what I was saying. Like, okay, this is in theory, you could draw multiple cards of this.
Mm-hmm.
You could draw of this over multiple turns.
Mm-hmm.
So like I feel like because of that, the kind of cards kind of paying for that in terms of like
Mm-hmm.
low stats.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I mean, of course, like if you play like a 1 cost Queen of Hearts and after your opponent played a Daisy, now if they were to exert it, they could immediately lose the game to a shift Queen of Hearts. But and if they don't, then at least their 1-drop Daisy didn't quest. So that the card, there's still some nice things if this had a 1 cost. Also, what if you like? It's not even just about turn 2, right? You kind of just like this card gets a lot better if the initial cost of the card you could shift upon was like a lot cheaper, because what if like at any point in the mid game you flood the board and one of those cards is like a random
Queen,
Queen of
and then
Hearts.
you shift, and then so you get so much value, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and then because also at that point maybe you are in somewhat of a standoff. Your opponent, like you quest, maybe you force your opponent to take some trade so you don't get to quest again, and then you have this Queen of Hearts, and it could draw some cards and be pretty decent. Like this, there's a lot worse cards in Lorcana.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
This Queen of
Yeah,
Hearts.
I mean, this mentions draw a card, so it's okay,
Yeah,
right?
so it can't be that bad.
This
I mean, okay, there is Dinner Bell if we talk about cards.
Oh, wait a second. I never showed this. I have one right here. What do you mean? Dinner bell. Let's go.
Yeah.
I got the artist to sign this for Moyen because it's his favorite card of all time, you know?
I am looking forward to getting that in my hands. I am thankful for that. But yeah, Dinner Bell might be one of the worst cards to ever mention draw a card on it.
Yeah, the fact that it's actually insulting that it has the draw card. I thought you were going to say one of the worst cards of all time, but I think that still has to go to the RLS Legacy Cannon. You know that card? Oh, man.
Yes, I know.
Yeah,
Wasn't
yeah.
there at the start of Lorcana was also this Gantu?
I mean, yeah. I mean, Gantu's...
Characters with 2 or less can challenge your character.
Gantu is inkable. I'll put him in the inkwell. I can't put the RLS
True,
Legacy
if it's
Cannon.
It can't be the worst.
Yeah, it can't be the worst. Yeah, no, just going back to this card. And this has such a similar, ability, like actually very, very similar to like Prince John in terms of, imagine this card was, let's say this had like worse stats, didn't have the shift, but it had ward on it. Oh, suddenly this card's feeling like a Prince John where it's like, yeah, I'll just play this card. You can't ever target it. Whenever I make any challenge, bam, I draw a card,
like
right?
This with Prince John stats and ward, and then you go like, oh, play my Prince John. You're like, oh, then you have a character, your opponent doesn't exert, then you play like another Prince John, then you go Elsa, exert your character, challenge, draw 4 cards.
In another universe, this could have been Lorcana. This could have been the Ruby Amethyst
I don't
decks.
need to be in that universe. I'm okay in this one.
Sure. The next one is Rose Lantern. What do you think about this one? This is a steep cost for this card, I think.
I'm getting so annoyed looking at this because you showed me the like, is this Lorcana card real? And like,
oh yeah,
different artwork, and you use this one.
Yeah, for like the, I don't even know what the other card was called. It was just like Rose something, or I don't know.
It was this artwork.
Yeah.
And I didn't catch that song.
So,
okay, but what does the card actually do? Exert 2 ink, move for damage, counter from chosen character to chosen opposing character. And it's an inkable 2-cost item. I wish the activation was cheaper. Like paying 2 for this initial cost, okay, but like, when can I really afford to use this ability efficiently?
2 is a lot, right?
Yes.
I don't.
Sometimes it will help.
I can't.
State,
I can't see it seeing play, honestly. Like I really can't. Next one, John Silver, the legendary John Silver. Are you happy to see this guy? Did you play? I'm certain you played this guy in some Emerald Amethyst decks, right?
Also like Emerald Sapphire, sometimes Emerald Amethyst. Like this card rocks. I love this card.
Okay.
This is like, I don't know, because in so many Lorcana decks, they just they stabilize, and then they still lose to any characters your opponent top decks. Like
Mm-hmm.
you still can't always stop them from questing. But something like a John Silver, it's like okay, if I dealt with all of your cards in hand and maybe on the board, you're like out of cards. Any character you play, it won't be able to quest.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like, I mean, in the deck I played in Madrid with the top 8, I tried to achieve a similar thing just with more efficient cards with like Muses and the
Mm-hmm.
Shift Ursula.
Mm-hmm.
But this card does that job too.
Yep.
It does it in a different way at a different ink cost. But I love this card.
Mm-hmm. Cusco Wanted Llama. I personally am very, very happy to see this card back
What
because
price that?
I don't know. I always liked this card previously within the Amethyst decks, the kind of early Amethyst decks, and I know some people I kind of kept playing this, but ultimately this card was replaced. I feel like by the Magic Broom because it was basically the same stats, one cost cheaper, and you just had to play another character, to be kind of on demand trigger this card's effect.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I just like cards like this, similar to the one cost Diablo, that if I play something like the Yelana, right, which is technically like the
Mm-hmm.
worst crab that we have access to now, it
Yeah.
just feels like I've pretty decent value. Like this card is definitely like it's tough because the stats are very, very weak on it, but
Mm-hmm.
if I'm able to trade up with it and it replaces itself most of the time, I feel okay. And I feel like it could have some place. It has the potential to make its way back into Amethyst decks, but it's also not an obvious auto include. And I kind of like that personally.
Yeah. No, I mean I agree with all of those points. I think it also I think instead of I don't really think Broom replaced it because like Broom you kind of have to like I mean to some extent yes, but I think the card that I would compare to it more is like the one cost Diablo,
Mhm.
which you also just like it's understated, you quest with it,
Mhm.
you let your opponent deal with it if they want to,
Mhm.
but then you draw off it, and then also you can do a like a give it plus challenger in some sort of way,
Mhm.
to trade up and gain some value out of it that way. Like Diablo kind of always did it better because it costs half as much,
Mhm.
and if it's a 0-1 or 1-2, like matters less than
Mhm.
the
Mhm.
cost. Um, but no, I mean I also like this card. I remember those times where it's like maybe some like in old Lorcana,
Mhm.
some Ruby Amethyst mirrors. It was just like okay, I can't commit to the sport more, but I can play this Cusco. It's
Mhm.
like okay, I can threaten one more lore
Mhm.
without actually using a card, or maybe it's recently the board swings were like oh B prep mana, which is
Mhm.
like really oppressive. Back in the day, sometimes it was just like B prep Cusco,
Mhm.
and it's like okay, now I'm threatening a lore. Your
Mhm.
turn.
Mhm. Yeah, 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 exactly. Yeah, no, I'm very happy to see this card back. And it also has a very, very nice epic card treatment. Like, I want to see more of this in Lorcana, where they give cool alt arts and cool treatments to playable cards, to good cards, right?
Yeah.
Like that's what you should be doing, right? I feel like you don't have to give it to every playable card, but that also like that hits that cross section of like competitive player and collector who will actually want to play the big shiny expensive cards within their deck, right? Like I think that's always a cool thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess I don't know how I feel about like if like a very obviously bad card gets like some cool alter. I'm like,
Mhm.
okay, maybe people still won't care that much.
Mhm. Uh
But yeah, for Cusco it's cool.
Atlantica. So this is cool that they're bringing locations back. I do think this is very interesting. But this location, I don't know. I struggle. I really struggle to evaluate this. Uh,
Yeah.
so it's one cost inkable, it has 6 willpower, and you have to pay 2 ink to move a character there. Characters count as having +2 cost to sing songs while here. I'm like the. I mean, this is not. What's the word I'm looking for? This is not like proportional, right? But I feel like the 2 ink I spend to move the character to give it the
Yeah.
extra singer, I don't feel great about that. And it has to be in like like such a perfect scenario for this to work really, really well. Like
Mm-hmm.
maybe this works well if you need to like just about activate a sing together card or something, but like we've never had that problem in a deck where it's like, oh, I really need this thing together to work.
Yeah.
Let me put Atlantica into my deck, right?
Yeah. Usually, if you want to like sing a more expensive song, you could shift a character to
Mm-hmm.
have like more singer capabilities. Or often the best thing you can do is just spend all your ink to play a big character and then sing it the turn after.
Sure.
There's very rarely a rush where I'm like, oh no, I really need it this turn. Play Atlantica, move it something to here to save a little bit of like to be able to play a song one turn sooner and then spend this entire card on it that doesn't really do anything else.
This just seems, I don't know, this seems like such a bad card in my opinion, because it's like the cards have singer printed on them for a reason, and this is like, oh, I don't know, this is like basically it's trying to give a card singer +2, but you're paying ink
Mm-hmm.
to do that, which in my mind just does, it just, oh, it feels
Yeah, it
horrible.
defeats it kind of defeats the purpose, right? The singer lets you do things more. Okay, it does let you do them sooner. This location could also let you do it sooner, but usually the singer ability lets you sing the songs more efficiently.
Mm-hmm.
But this one doesn't let you sing it more
No,
efficiently. It
no,
just
no, no.
like you pay the cost in a different way.
I'd rather just play a singer card than play this, if that makes sense,
Mm-hmm.
right? So,
Yeah.
okay. The next card is that's the Dumbo we already talked about. Powerline, 2 cost inkable, 3/2 singer 4. People have been saying, and I don't mean to laugh at this, but it's like I guess kind of a fair point. But people have been saying if we get Zeus as a reprint, Ruby Steel, you play this, Zeus suddenly, okay, you're able to remove
Sure.
something. It's a fair point.
Mm-hmm.
I still don't think it's incredible because if that's the case, what like I mean, you better hope that they haven't just played like a 2/1 that can also just hit into this once it's exerted, right? Like I feel
Mm-hmm.
like you also want this to kind of stick around on the board. Um,
Yeah.
but as a
But
shift line for the big power line, I think it's pretty good. Yeah.
yeah, it's cool that we have a shift line, and this is also not. This is not just to shift upon, right?
Mm-hmm.
It could also be nice to have a singer for
In
this
Ruby.
early in the game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Um. Yeah, you could. Okay, you could kind of compare the like play a singer for and to sing something like Zeus, like sing a removal song quickly to what Amber Steele is doing right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
With Troubadour
Mm-hmm.
and the
Ursula.
Ursula Vanessa. But that's not why Amber Steele is great, right? It that sometimes that's the line they go for,
Mm-hmm.
but then they also have like refill after using a lot of cards for high tempo plays with like Doc or Holy Word.
Mm-hmm.
And also, if they play something like an Ursula or Vanessa, it doesn't just threaten a removal song. It threatens also a storm that replaces itself and
Mm-hmm.
removes something right now. It threatens like a Rapunzel a little bit later.
Mm-hmm.
Like it does quite a bit. So like there is potential in this, but maybe Ruby and or maybe the color that you pair Ruby with could also have other good songs that you can pair this with.
Mm-hmm.
But just in general, playing a singer 4 and 2 that can then sing Zeus if Zeus returns,
Mm-hmm.
that's not something where I'm like, oh, very excited about it. I
Mm-hmm.
think there needs to be like more good song density and stuff that this is pressuring.
I agree. I think this card, it's not fully dependent on what the 4 cost songs in the game will be, because I do think it's just like a fine shift target for
Mm-hmm.
the bigger power line. But it would really help if you could also have relevant 4 costs. Like it makes sense, right? Just songs that you're already gonna put in your power line deck anyways, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know what I always loved?
Hmm?
The only problem was the deck that I had to play it in is playing Ursula,
Mm-hmm.
and then turn 3 I sing How Far I Go.
Mm-hmm.
And that made me very happy.
Mm-hmm.
So if How Far I Go returns, you could do that in Ruby Sapphire. That would be kind of cool.
It's
But
cool. It's cool, and it's also a different way. Like people always just think about like ramping on turn 2 immediately.
mhm. It's a
Okay.
different way. It's kind of like turn 2 you play a character, then
Mhm.
you like have a little bit delayed ramp, but it with like some card advantage.
Yeah, this actually reminds me. It's another card that, for some reason, like the website that we're reading off of, guys. Like I will say, like, comment down below if we've missed any cards. I mean, by the time this podcast comes out, of course there'll be more cards that reveal. But another one that's not on this website that I did see revealed that was talking about ramp made me remember is the 3 cost inkable Winnie the Pooh from set 2 in Sapphire. That's a 2/3 quest for 2. When you quest, you can ink a card from hand, and that card wasn't good in set 2, and I still don't think it's good now. But go
Um,
ahead. Tell me.
yeah, no. all good. So I think you're correct. I think Winnie the Pooh having a thing
Yes.
um, is one of the most undeserving card to see competitive play.
Did it
Or like,
see competitive play?
I mean, I don't know if you can call it competitive, but like people played it in their decks. Also before tournaments were like a thing.
Sure. Okay. Okay. Right.
Like, but like that people thought this card was, I think, a lot better than it ever was. I think this card was never good.
Yeah.
Was like this delayed
Delay Tipo.
ramp,
Delay ramp. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
like kind of defeats why like the entire purpose of ramp, or like part of the purpose of why you want the ramp in the first place. And it doesn't even do it like in a value efficient way either, because it still comes at the cost of a card in your hand.
Yep. Let's have a look at the next card. It is Goofy. So 2 cost inkable 2/2 quest for 1. A new card. Once during your turn, whenever this character moves to a location, you may move one of your other characters to that location for free. If you do, draw a card. The card has draw a card on it, Moyen. It must be good. It must be good, right? What do you think? It is a 2 cost 2/2, so the effect better be good if I'm playing a 2 cost 2/2, right?
Yes. Yeah, the effect. It's kind of difficult to,
Atlantica value, right?
Yeah, you need something that's like cheap to move to, and also like a character where you want to have like a location where you want the character to be anyways. We've never really had that exist, but like it's not impossible, is it?
No, I think this card, like in the right deck with like the right locations, maybe if the location gives something like very relevant to the characters that are there, then well, yeah, maybe it could be okay.
Yeah, something that gives like +2/+2.
Sure, yeah. The double Cove effect, sure. I mean, Cove is actually an example where this with Cove is like actually an okay example where it's not the worst. You're basically paying 1 to move 2 characters, giving them effectively +2/+2 split as a +1/+1 for each, and you're drawing a card. Yeah, okay, funnily enough, the funny example of something giving something +2/+2, Cove is the relevant thing, right?
Yes,
and
Cove
also, Cove is reprinted. I do remember seeing this on social media, that it was reprinted.
No, but I was just saying, like, maybe, like, I don't think Cove is necessarily enough for this card to be good, but, like...
It's a good example. A Cove that gave +2/+2, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Something like that.
Right, the Magic Feather, Moyen, 2 cost inkable amethyst item. When you play this item, choose a character of yours. While this item is in play, that character gains evasive, and you can pay 3 ink to return this item to your hand. So I'll highlight the weird OTK combo thing afterwards, but tell me your initial impressions.
Well, initial impressions is okay. I can make something evasive for 2, and then if the game goes on infinite ages and I have like more ink than I can ever spend, I might bounce it
replay
and use it. Or like I could also bounce it and ink it, which is maybe more plausible to me. I think I would want a character, like the character would need to be like very worthy of protection for me to want to use a magic feather.
Yeah. This item feels weird when, like, if you put it on a character and then the character gets traded away and it's just sitting on your board until you can bounce it back. It's just, I mean, maybe it works well in some deck that cares about you just having a lot of items on the board, maybe. But okay, yeah, let's talk about this combo that some people initially said it was infinite, and then you actually look at it, no, it's not an infinite combo. People are calling it a semi-infinite combo. I'd more so call it like a
combo.
A kind of it's like an OTK combo if you're already winning half of the game, basically, right? So it involves this Magic Feather, it involves the Legendary Dumbo card, and it involves Monstro. So you've got Monstro on the board, you'll give it evasive with the Magic Feather. You can pay 1 ink, exert the Monstro to draw a card, gain a lore. You can then discard that card that you've drawn to re-ready the Monstro, and you can just keep repeating this and gaining a bunch of lore. But you can't win the game because you need to have 1 ink to spend every single time you're exerting your Monstro and then discarding, re-readying your Monstro. You have to pay 1 ink every time you exert to draw and then gain 1 lore. What do you think about the combo in general, Moyen? I remember I was saying this to you at the start of the podcast, and it's like, right, if we're trying to do this, I just play the game normally because you have to be at like realistically you have to be at like probably 12, 13 ink already, right? Before
Yeah.
and that's if you have the dream scenario of where everything's set up on the board perfectly, you have all of the ink to gain this immediately, right? Like it seems so over complicated for the reason of doing that. I would just play the game normally and probably win the game, right?
Yeah, no, I mean, it's just kind of inefficient.
Yeah.
Um, for a combo that also requires us to play some cards in our deck that we wouldn't want to be playing otherwise, which this Magic Feather probably is.
Mhm.
So I wasn't impressed at all when I saw it.
Be Our Guest returns. Card I'm very happy to see back personally.
Yeah, so it's a lovely card that can like make for some interesting decisions where it's like, okay, you could improve your turn this much on average if you are to sing it here, but then there's also the cost of exerting your character, like paying the twink. It's a cool consistency piece.
Mhm. Next one is Maui Whale. Man, I looked at this card. I don't. I just can't get my head around why this card exists. To be
I mean,
honest,
I've played against this, I think, at times.
okay.
Like,
You've played again. Literally thought you were about to say you've played this card. I was like, what the hell did you play this card in?
no, it was just like, I think some anti-location card in the early sets.
Anti-location card. What? I've won the game by the time this card comes down. Like what?
No, the game was a lot slower back then. You play this, and then your opponent can't deal with it, and you go like, clear your entire board and the location.
I just played Rush Maui though. No, like 5 cost Maui is so much better than this card.
They're not that different.
They're very different. Yeah, this card is just I don't know. Like I wouldn't even play this in like the Ruby decks that care about having loads of strength cards, right? I honestly wouldn't even play it in that deck. It seems that bad. So
Probably not.
I don't know. It's not. And the worst thing about it, I could be wrong, but I can't even read it. Yeah. Oh no, this is the set 9 version. The worst thing is it hasn't even been demoted from a rare. That makes it hurt even more. That they said this card has to be kept as a rare. It's so powerful, you know. Oh, yeah, Hidden Cove is actually mentioned here. Oh, amazing! They've actually, as we've been doing this, it seems like the website has updated, which is great. We're nearly at the end now.
Yeah, we have more cards now.
Yeah. We have Aladdin, which is a 2-cost Emerald card with Ward, which actually started to see some play a little bit recently within Set 8, believe it or not, within the Amber Emerald decks, where if there was a lot of Steel Song around that was pretty efficient at being able to remove your 2-drop, besides the Ursula the Deceiver of All that would discard the song cards. Like, if you're playing Sir Hiss, and they Cindy stormed, it felt really, really bad. This Aladdin not only potentially helped you guarantee that you were going to sing a discard song, that was the lesser use case for it. The better use case was that you could literally set up, like, warded 2-cost, warded 3-cost Prince John, warded 4-cost Muses, and, like, pretty much guarantee you're under the sea, right?
How much fun does that sound for your opponent?
For my opponent, it's not very fun.
You set up Aladdin, John, Muses,
wipe the board. Yeah.
Kida under the sea.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, Aladdin's coming back. He won't be used for that use case though, is the thing. I think just having a 2-cost 2/2 with Ward, it does help sing together decks. That's like the one thing we can actually take away from this, is that like Ward characters without these busted bonkers effects will still help sing together decks realistically, right? What do you think of Mufasa, King of the Pride Lands, Moyen?
I think I want to rather talk about the next card.
Okay, right. The next card. Are you sure you want to talk about this card? Okay. This is the card that Kim revealed.
Yeah, no, I do.
Mhm.
I saw the picture.
Mhm. Oh yeah, with the dog. Yeah. Do you want to read out the card for the viewers?
Sure, it's an uninkable 4-cost character in Amber, Tinkerbell Generous Fairy.
Mhm.
It's a 1/4 that says, when you play this character, look at the top 4 cards of your deck. You may reveal a character and put it into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your deck in any order. So this does replace itself almost every time, because most decks are quite character heavy. And that's also usually gives you some options to choose from, right? That being said, it costs 4 and has quite weak stats,
And it's uninkable.
and it's uninkable.
But
Yeah,
I
that's
like
about it.
I like that the card's back though. Like I also like. Can you imagine again? Like even though we've played like we know what grindy red blue mirror matches can be like and stuff. Like whenever I think of control mirror matches, like I think of back in the day, like not even like Ruby Amethyst stuff and set one. I think of like for you and me, I think of like Control Warrior in Hearthstone, where you're like fatiguing each other, right? Where it's like you're going so long, and like every card you get like has to be like super value. I think in super long drawn out games, this card comes down can help you like find the card that's like perfect for you in this moment. Like I don't know, we don't know what type of control decks are going to exist, right? But like if you have a lot of ink to play with, the game's going pretty long, you can find kind of a character. The stat line of this character doesn't matter so much, but it's more so like, oh, it's a body, it's a lore. In a slow, grindy game, every lore matters. As you said, this card also replaces itself. Like, I think it's fine. I still don't know how playable it will be, but in super slow metas, like, and in a deck that's Amber plus something, which so far we haven't really seen besides Amber Steel, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, there would have to be a lot to happen to make this card like at least playable in my opinion. But I'm still glad it's reprinted. Like it's an example of a card that in a certain niche scenario could be okay. Um, the Queen Mirror Seeker, 4-cost inkable 2/5 within Sapphire Quest for 1. When this character quests, you may look at the top 3 cards of your deck and put them back in any order. I don't know why, as I was reading this card, I expected it to say, like, put one into your hand. So this is just a 4-cost inkable 2/5 when you crest Scry 3, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
You could look at it that way.
I mean,
I guess you can't even like put them to the bottom. You still have to draw them at some point.
oh, right, so it's worse than Scry, right?
Yeah.
Wow, yeah. Yeah, it doesn't seem like a very good card, unfortunately.
Yeah, no,
Your
it
thoughts?
doesn't.
Okay.
Especially because like with low strength, it's like when it does get shredded into, it doesn't even deal that much damage back.
Yeah. This needed to draw a card badly. If this drew a card, this is a very interesting card.
it anymore.
Yeah, but the difference is like I know we have the meme, but I'm being serious on this one. Like like if this did say it, think about it. Would you play this card if you could look at the top 3 and put one into your hand?
Maybe. I mean, we kind of have like I think there was like a Sisu that did something similar, but also on an uninkable, like on quest.
Okay.
What did that Sisu do exactly?
Really? Did we have a card like that? Oh, the legendary one, right?
Yeah, it was like a 2/4 quest for 2 uninkable in Sapphire 4 cost. That said, when this quest took at the top 2, put one of them into your hand, put the rest on the bottom.
Oh,
in any
sure.
order.
I guess if that card never saw play, then I don't know if this card would see play even with
No,
that
but I mean, I
effect.
guess this is a 2/5. It has 1 more willpower, and it's inkable.
And it's
so
inkable, sure.
There's some merit to it. If it did give you 1 card, I think there would be a decent amount of merit to this.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's look at the next card. Genie, Supportive Friend.
Mm-hmm.
Uninkable, 3/5. Wait, actually, everyone knows the card. And it's on quest. You can shove into your deck, draw 3. This card's actually very powerful.
Okay.
It's not like. I mean, it's not like insanely powerful, but like compare this to Finders Keepers, right? Finders Keepers, you pay 5, you draw 2 cards. For this, you pay 4, and hopefully next time you draw 3
Hopefully.
cards and gain 1 lore.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say, under the assumption that this does
But you've done nothing on your turn 4 then, basically. I guess you've done nothing on your turn 4 and then you want to do something on your turn 5. Yeah, no, sorry, continue.
And sometimes you play Finders Keepers on 5, especially if this card deck still exists.
Mm-hmm.
And if you like live under the assumption that against decks that this kind of does get to quest once, cards actually is decently powerful. Of course, it's also uninkable, and if it does, I guess how bad is it? Is if it does get removed? The thing is, it's still 3/5. Like,
and it's
maybe
cost
if it
them a
forced
card
them
to remove it.
remove
Yeah.
this,
Mm-hmm.
it might not be the worst. So I do think this card was not that far away off from like being okay in the past. I think it could be okay in the future. Only way it would be better is if it said draw 4 cards.
Sure. Only way it would be better if it drew a card when it came into play as well, right?
That would be
Like the other genie, like its brother, like its twin. Yeah.
draw 1 and then maybe draw 2.
Oh, that's a card. Gaston, your boy Gaston Moyen. Have you missed him?
Yeah, still my desktop background.
Is it actually still your desktop
Yeah.
background? That's very funny. Yeah, so for those of you who don't remember, or for those of you who played Lorcana and never played with this card, yes, within set one, it was arguable that this was a very good card within set one, in my opinion.
Yeah. It even saw some play like to counter Flynn was like sometimes the 2-drop of choice for some people.
To counter the two cost
Flynn
Flynn.
Rider. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Just like to have a 2-drop that can
I
counter
remember this
stuff.
just countering like Simba really well. Like remember when Simba Bodyguard was a great thing to play,
Mm-hmm.
to protect like I don't know like your
You know.
to protect your hook even. I don't know like yeah like
Yeah.
just to. Oh, what a different game it was back then, right? Like what a
Mm.
different game. I kind of miss those days. I can't lie. Um, Stitch Alien Dancer. It's a shift target for the big Stitch,
Yeah.
right?
I think
And
yes.
it is an alien which will synergize with the card we're going to talk about shortly.
Yes.
Uh, Look at this family. Tell me what you think about this card. I've seen this card toyed around with in different decks.
Mm-hmm.
I've never actually played with this card, like put this card into a deck. Have you experimented with this card a little bit, and just like your
Yes.
your overall thoughts on it?
Yeah, so this card reads quite well.
Mhm.
It's like you sync together this, it's inkable, so like maybe on some boards where you don't think you can or you can afford to exert these characters, you ink it, but this can, for 0 ink, look at the top 5, hand pick two characters out of those 5 cards, add them to your hand. So it's card advantage, it filters a bit, it sometimes doesn't cost you ink, it's inkable. It has a lot of things going right for it.
Mhm.
The problem is like kind of at the stage where you can sing this,
Mhm.
you'd often rather sing something or like play cards
Mhm.
that impact the board now
Mhm.
rather quickly than later. And
Mhm.
this often you exert characters which hurts the board state
Mhm.
to yes generate card advantage, but to usually add cards to your hand that also don't impact the board that quickly because they're characters. Like most characters don't do that good of a
Unless they're
job.
like rush characters or something, right? I
Yes,
don't know.
there's like
Yeah.
Rush or Sisu Maleficent, but
Mm.
like I think if your deck contains mostly characters that are good proactive plays but don't really deal with the board, sometimes the card advantage you gain can be like a little bit neutralized by having to exhaust your characters to actually use this. So like, it is a great value card. Make sure you barely run out of cards with decks that play around this card. It does struggle though because it can often be slow and therefore inappropriate in a lot of board states.
Mhm. Uh, the next card is Mickey Mouse Trumpeter. It's a 4 cost uninkable 0/1. Exert this, pay 2, play a character for free. I really laughed when they brought this card back, and I'm pretty sure. I hope I'm right with this. I'm pretty sure they deranked this from a legendary to a super rare. I mean, they did,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because uh, yeah, like they would have had to derank this. Like this card is just not worthy of a legendary slot, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was one of those cards where like it was kind of amazing that we still had to tell people no, this is not the incredible card you think it is.
Yeah. I don't know. Even like putting this as taking up a super rare slot to me is like, man, I guess they're keeping this for the casual players maybe, but yeah, I just really can't see the use case of this card. The next card is when I saw this. I honestly I couldn't believe it when I saw this. I really couldn't believe it because I was convinced Under the Sea was not coming back. And I know that most of my Amber Emerald deck will not come back. I would love to see if Muses came back as well. I think if I got this and Muses come back, I'd be set. I would be so happy. Everything else could
You'd be
leave.
cooking.
Uh, but I think if I got Muses as well as Under the Sea, I would be a very happy man indeed. I don't think we're gonna get Muses back, but it's really cool that we get this card back. And I want to pick your brain. If we don't get be prepared back. And if we don't get a board wipe, right? Potentially, if this
We have one under the sea.
that's what I mean, right? Like if this is the card, and this is even better than a board wipe. It's a one-sided board wipe, right? Potentially, as long as you meet all the conditions.
Hmm.
A part of me was really happy to see this card return because currently the Amber Emerald deck is pretty favored into Blurple because a lot of the cards already have pretty low strength. Genies, Elsas, stuff like that, where Under the Sea is already relevant. And then once you do Keto Under the Sea, the game is kind of over. So I think if what I'm predicting, I'll say at least, is that, Amethyst plus X color combination will be pretty decent. If there is a consistent way to get to the Under the Sea, similar to how it has been so far, I think it's going to be a lot harder to do so because if we don't have a lot of worded characters, the only other way that Under the Sea is going to be able to be consistently sung and played for free is, I guess, you just play very well statted characters that are just difficult to remove. That also they also have to have like decent effects. I can't just play like a static character that kind of does nothing. But if the conditions are met, I think Under the Sea, clearly, as we've seen, is a very, very, very powerful card, right? Like, how much support do you feel will be needed to make this card work? Similar to how Kita made this very, very good, right? Like the strength-based removal stuff. Like we can't be playing the card we revealed last set, right? Like Trials and Tribulations, 2-cost Amber Song that gives something -4, and doesn't draw a card.
It's kind of rough, but I think like maybe Coil alone can make this work, and like Emerald Sapphire. But like it does need some strength reductions to really make this work. Preferably ones that like aren't terrible when you don't then you like that you can kind of use them without Under the Sea as well.
Yeah, I think Coil is a very, very good example, but that's my issue as well, as like being able to have the characters capable of singing this song and getting them to stick and like build up a board is very, very tricky. But I think the example that you used of Emerald Sapphire might be the most efficient because you could be kind of ramping and doing stuff within that deck anyways. So did you say you experimented with this card a little bit in current builds of green blue?
Not really, because it was quite bad. But it was like the version that I was playing wasn't playing Coil, right? It was not the item version. In the item version, it's a much different story.
Okay, that's cool to know that it kind of may have its place, which is interesting. Shere Khan. What do you think about Shere Khan, Moyen?
It reminds me of a friend of mine that really liked to play like Shere Khan in set 2.
Me?
Yeah.
Did I? I played it a little bit, right? Like yeah, but that's like saying, "Oh, a new card came out. Let me test it." A guy tests it once. He loves to play Shere Khan, right? What do you mean?
Okay, I'm just talking about. But I know the card's okay. Like the stat line's fine. You just can't like build around it that much.
I remember talking. Sorry. Go ahead.
I was just saying like it needs the game state to play out very differently than it did the last 3 sets to like kind of reward this card, because like you can't have your deck and the entire deck built around it. I think this deck to have this card be good. I think to have this card be good, you kind of want to live in a world where people are like forced more to exert their characters, or maybe like some unexert abilities where like you get to challenge more efficiently without always having to also exert your opponent's stuff before you get to challenge them.
100%, yeah. Yeah, I just think I remember the first time we evaluated this card, how we were like, we just loved the idea of being able to like challenge and also gain the lore that you would have gained if the character just quested instead. And it's true, like it in theory it's a good effect, but you have to be able to do the effect consistently, right? It's the problem. So the last card that's on this website at least is Hades Infernal Schemer. But I should actually not show the normal art. I need to show off the Enchanted, because I think this is my favorite Enchanted of the set. They still haven't revealed all of them, but I think this Enchanted is an absolute banger. Would you agree?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's very good. The guy who doesn't like the, well, I won't say doesn't like the art. The competitive player who's focused on the text. Like you have to appreciate this a little bit, right?
Sure. I guess why is this art so good to you?
Why?
Yeah.
Okay, you're asking me about like art taste and what I don't know. Like it's a.
You just like it. You just happen to like it.
I mean, I happen to. Yeah, I mean, I do think the art's really really cool. I think
Mm-hmm.
the foiling effect for the enchanted and stuff, like the background kind of blends in really well. And I mean, the bigger thing is, I'm probably more inclined to like an enchanted for a card that's playable as well, right? Like
Yeah,
it's,
that is lovely.
it helps a
80s,
lot.
it's like an absolute classic. Love to see it return. Love to see it get some love and like a cool artwork.
All right, before we get into the very last few cards, the card I wanted to mention that has like the alien synergy is the Lilo card. I'm sure you guys have seen it. It's a steel 3-cost inkable 2/2 that quest for 1, I think, and it's when you play this character, uh, all of your other characters get Challenger +2. Not only that, it's whenever you quest. If you have an alien character, you can give it Challenger +2, and it may challenge ready characters. So that's a pretty powerful ability. But even the first ability alone is super good in my opinion. This card to me is like a mini Cricky in steel, which is so
Sure.
so 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 cool in my opinion.
Yeah.
Buffs up your smaller guys, makes you have some pretty favorable trades. So yeah, I want your opinion on that part of the card first, if that's okay, and then we can get into the potential alien synergy.
Okay. Um, I think the card is worse than people think. For
Okay, no, this is good. If this is your opinion, tell us. No, like I want to be told I'm wrong.
no, no, I don't think the card's bad. Like I'm not trying to tell you, oh no, you're wrong for all of these reasons.
Mhm.
It's more like, um, it kind of is a mini quickie.
Mhm.
So it gives AoE Challenger +2. That's
Mhm.
nice.
Mhm.
It has some potential alien upside when it quests, but like, um, its deadline.
Mhm.
I don't know. Okay, I guess I don't. Comparing it to great cards is kind of like, if it compares unfavorably to a very very good card, doesn't mean this card's bad. But like if you compare it to a crab like, or maybe especially in the earlier turns, you don't really need to give your entire board
Mhm.
plus Challenger +2. One of them would be enough. Crab does it better with better stats if you're
Mhm.
just targeting one. And then if you're looking at later states, um, yes, it like okay, it's nice that it's cheaper,
Mhm.
but the I think the average turn where I would like to have this AoE Challenger +2 effect, which I don't only need multiple characters in play to really want this effect, I also need my opponent to have multiple exerted characters in play. It's
Mhm.
usually at least on my 5 ink turn,
Mhm.
and at that stage, maybe it enables me to do something else on the same turn, but I could still see a world where like at the stage where this type of effect would be good, maybe I'd rather have a quickie because it gives +3 Challenger instead of +2, and Quickie is a very, very relevant body, both for questing for 3, but also for like enabling to sing 5 songs. For like
Mhm.
recently, it was still a great Bruno singer, even if you're sacrificing 3 lore for that.
Mhm.
Um, so like, okay, the alien part, like the on quest given alien plus Challenger +2, and able to challenge an active character, that how much of an upside we can get out of that with like how many aliens we play and everything, that needs to be considered further.
Mhm.
But like the primary effect, I think, is maybe worse than one might think, just because of like the 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 game state that you would need for this card to be good is kind of like so late that maybe it's less important that this card actually only costs 3.
I think that's very very fair. I think while it's important to compare it to Crab and Cricky as well, in the context of it, though both of those cards are probably going to rotate out. I think having it as an alternative is definitely nice, but I think
Mm-hmm.
you definitely made a great point about the stats of the card. Um, that it's a lot worse than just like, yeah, it shows why Cricky is so strong that this card comes down, has such a massive tempo swing, and then also is this body on the board at quest for 3, which isn't always so easy for your opponent to remove. Like they also have to have some pretty decent hard removal if they want to deny at least questing for 3 once.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so that's very relevant. Yeah, all of the aliens that cost 2, I had a look at them. Like the best one, I mean, we just saw this like 2 cost Stitch as an example. The the best one is in my opinion, it's either this Stitch or it's like Mr. Arrow, which is like a 1/2 that quests for 2 with resist 1, which if I'm doing that is like not powerful enough. I want something that's at least going to be able to hit into like a 3 strength character, in my opinion, and survive if I have this kind of effect. Maybe that's asking for too much so early on in the game. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but one of the cards that I think it could combo well with, if you at least play it a little bit later in the game, is like the 4 cost Inkable Stitch. That's a 3/4 that when it challenges and banishes a character, you draw a card and gain a lore. And we've seen that stat line played already from the Jafar from set 2, right? You know, the Floodborn one, that
Yeah.
when it has the same effect, it draws a card.
Yeah, but that
Um,
Jafar in that meta said, on play, your opponent discards a
yeah,
card.
your opponent discards a card. That's very true. I forgot about that part of the card. Yeah, that text was hidden, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah, the hidden
Yeah,
Bucky text.
yeah. But yeah, interesting conversations around the Lilo, and I actually find it very interesting that it's important that you actually kind of uh, explain your reasoning and thought process of the card, because I think it's very easy, especially when there's a lot of reprinted cards, to be like, oh, this card is like really, really, really good, really, really good, and it's like, yeah, it's okay, but it's not maybe as good as people think. Like, I actually think it's very
Yeah,
important to consider cards like that.
yeah, right. And I don't want to. I really don't think the card's bad. I think the
Hmm.
card's pretty decent,
Hmm.
at least. It's just like not this
He's not saying
incredible
it's mouse armor, guys. Don't worry. Yeah, yeah. Okay, moving on to the Captain Hook that we have in front of us here on the screen, revealed by the Articast earlier today. Um, it's 4 cost and inkable Captain Hook 3/4, quest for 1. When you play this character, you may return an action card named Fire the Cannons from your discard to your hand. This card I'm pretty sure it's never seen play. I've never seen it on the board.
Mhm.
However, its counterpart, Fire the Cannons, is being reprinted, and you'd hope it's being reprinted if this card's being reprinted. But Harlan actually revealed Fire the Cannons is being reprinted on Monday, I believe. And Fire the Cannons is very much a card that's seen a lot of meta play, and I think can continue to see some meta play depending on what cards we see pop up here and there.
Um, yeah, so I guess I was just hoping. I don't know. I think this card's just kind of niche in like Fire the Cannons is uninkable. This is uninkable.
Mm-hmm.
You need to play Fire the Cannons, so you need to have like a good target, and then you need to play this, and just to get like the card back. And it's even when that all of that happened, it's not like you did anything groundbreaking. Um, I, 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 I don't, it's not really the case, right? But I wish that like, what if we had multiple cards that said that were called Fire the Cannons, but
Ooh.
they had like a subtext. It's like Fire the Cannons. Um, I don't know,
I
4 cannons or
I know
something.
what you mean. Yeah.
And then like if there was a pool of cards that we could like get back with Captain Hook, and we could like choose, and but with that's not how Lorcana works. And the Fire the Cannons that we do have is, I don't know, it doesn't synergize with that well, because even okay, there's a lot of games where Fire the Cannons can be a great card on the first 2 turns, but
Mm-hmm.
there's some games where your opponent doesn't give you a good Fire the Cannons target.
Mm-hmm.
And imagine in the game like that,
You
you
have this
draw
card
Fire the
as
Cannons
well.
and Captain Hook,
Yeah.
and you're like, oh, I don't have a good Fire the Cannons target, so I'm stuck with this Fire the Cannons in my hand, which okay,
Mm-hmm.
maybe you could deal with. Then you also have this stuck in your hand, and you can't even get the Fire the Cannons back because I don't
Mm-hmm.
really didn't have a good time to use it.
Yeah. I think it's interesting that you mentioned like, oh, I wonder if cards had different versions of different like subtext, or whatever. It's something like technically Lorcana does have this where action cards also have an additional trait, right, which is songs. But
Mm-hmm.
comparatively to like, I mean, yourself, we've both played Star Wars Unlimited, right? And like event cards can have the force tag, they can be tricks, they can be, I don't know, bounties or plans or whatever, like all of these types of
Mm-hmm.
words where suddenly it's like, oh yeah, like get a trick card back from
Mm-hmm.
your discard or search. You know, like it's the same thing as having classifications on characters, but the
Mm-hmm.
idea of having classifications on like spells or action cards, right? Like that's quite
Mm-hmm.
interesting, and that's, I mean, it's technically an unexplored design space, but it's also a very core part of what I think would be there from the fundamental, like from the
Yeah.
beginning of the game, right?
No, I'm not saying like that needs to change. I'm
Mhm.
like that because that is working the way it's working.
Mhm.
The Captain Hook is kind of like limited in what it can do. Um, I mean, it could also, if a card references like a Captain Hook, it also references like all Captain Hooks. It doesn't just
Mhm.
reference Captain Hook, Captain of the Jolly Roger. But
Mhm.
like if a card references a specific action,
Mm-hmm.
it's like just that action.
Mm-hmm. All right, so that is all of the cards that have been revealed so far. Of course, more of these cards are being revealed as we're recording this podcast, as we're publishing it. So, um, as usual, let us know now that we're into reveal season. Let us know down below in the comments what cards you want us to start discussing, especially within the next between now and the next week when the next week's episode of the podcast comes out. Because that's always a fun one where you guys are like, yeah, this card looks really, really strong, and we get to evaluate it and share our opinions about it. But yeah, this is a bit of a rare spoiler season, right? Where I feel like previously maybe we've tried to evaluate all of the cards, but in this case it's for some people maybe it's not that interesting because they're older cards, but for me it is interesting because you're like evaluating an older card, speaking about how it performed in a previous meta, if it performed at all in a previous meta, and how we feel like it might potentially slot into this new existing meta. So yeah, like I wasn't sure initially how I'd feel about like, oh, reveals of reprinted cards, but
Yeah.
it's been okay so far. Maybe it hasn't been as interesting, but even when there's been brand new cards, a lot of them are still underwhelming at times, right? So,
Mm-hmm.
hmm
Yeah, I think while I understand, I will understand everyone that says, okay, this isn't as exciting to me. I think to me personally, it's not that big of a difference. It's still like we're looking at these cards to evaluate a new card pool that we can access to build decks from. And even if like a big part of that card pool is cards that we already know, like um, the combination of cards that will be available is still very, very different to the card pool that we had available or that we have available right now, for example.
hmm
And that's enough to make it super interesting for me.
hmm I agree. Yeah, and I'm excited to continue to see, both like new mechanically unique cards coming out and older reprint cards. It's been really, really enjoyable, and I hope you guys have enjoyed this week's episode of the podcast. The number one thing you can do is leave us a review over on Apple Podcast, Spotify, your local podcast platform. If you guys did enjoy this episode, there is a video version of this available over on youtube.com/@podcana podcast. Hit the subscribe while you're there. Twitters are at @kawatech_cg and @moyen_hs. Thank you guys so much for watching. We'll catch you guys in the next one.